So people present themselves to the world at a superficial level that also protects them against uncomfortable self-knowledge and critical judgment. So some of us can present ourselves to the rest of the world in a particular way that shields us from crucial self-knowledge and also criticism or judgment by others. This was very true of me. When I grew up, my dad used to say some core, I call it creedal language, or core beliefs, we can say, core beliefs. And two sayings my dad would say, and probably come from my grandfather, very dignified guy. My dad was a bit brash. The one line was, even if you're lying dead, you should look smart. Now, Dad would always say, if I wear anything not ironed or properly not dressed or not combed my hair, there was hair once upon a time, he would say, even if you are lying dead, you should look good. So that was always in my mind. The second thing my dad would say, which stuck in me deeply, is suck it up, move on. But he would say in vernacular, and it's very harsh in my language. But the English reasonable translation would be, life is tough, Bonnie, suck it up, move on. Now, these two core beliefs have in some ways shaped a persona in me which would allow me to have a particular sort of mask that others would see so they don't judge me. And it also helps me not to go deeper and know myself. So two things I became scared of. One is public opinion, what other people tells me about. Second, if I truly get to know myself, would that be a nice thing? Now, because of that, I believe I became some sort of a helper. Our Bonnie always say yes. And Dad would say, you have to be always happy, Bonnie. Happy. Come on, Bonnie, get up, be happy. The sun is shining on you, but I don't feel like it. Just be happy. So a persona is being created unconsciously by upbringing. Happy, always say yes, no matter what, always say yes. Now, in doing so, what I lacked is I couldn't even know deeply that there was a me existed. And then I became a seminarian, a student, a seminarian, and a priest. And then I really struggled because I could see, say, suppose Claire is sitting here. I'm talking to Claire, and I could see Claire's face, and no things would change on her face, and I immediately adapt to her needs. It's just a massive gift that can adjust my way of being and talking as soon as there's little signals on her face, her facial expression, her hands moving of the hands. I can easily change because I am so geared to the needs of others, how others would like. And the more I change to Claire's needs, I am getting liked by who? Claire. Oh, isn't that Father Bonnie a lovely guy? And that makes me so happy. But then maybe I am burning out like a candle, giving light to Claire. But at the same time, I am getting extinguished. My life is getting so much so I go home and I feel like, who am I? And this brought me to a time of crisis in my ministry. And one of the questions, and I wrote that in the bulletin, my spiritual director asked me, what is it so unbearable with you, Bonnie, that you leave yourself? That was so difficult question to me. What is it so unbearable with you that you always wander outside, looking for the next hit, looking for the next high, looking for the next socialization, looking for the next party? Why can't you sit with yourself? It was a life-threatening question, because at the age of 35, now I'm 42, at the age of 35, I couldn't sit with myself. I had to entertain. And maybe the reason I'm a priest, I can have constant distraction, visiting one person, next person, events in school, come home, sleep. I don't have to be a person who looks inside of me. And it was a struggle. And my spiritual director told me, the more you do this, the more you burn yourself and you will lose all your joy. Because you know everyone else needs, but you have absolutely do not know who you are and what you need. So, in some ways, I am deaf, that I don't know myself, I can't listen to myself, and I am dumb. Why? I can't express myself, because the fact that I can't listen to myself. Because I can't listen, I am dumb. I can't vocalize myself. Now, the fundamental problem for me, it's the core beliefs that created me. My Catholic upbringing. Always love others. Don't worry about yourself. Others comes first. Always be happy. Even if you die dead, looks good. Have a nice shirt before you die. Make sure you polish your shoe. Oh, I'm going to die. You look good. And that doesn't help to get to know myself. And then I began my journey. See, in the gospel, if you look at it in a spiritual way, Jesus takes the deaf and dumb guy. Let's call it the church. He represents the church. Jesus takes the deaf and dumb guy in private, away from the people. And this is very important. For any spiritual transformation, we have to take ourselves away from the crowd. And who is the crowd in my life? My innocent dad, and who learned things from his father, innocent mom who learned things from her family, innocent context and circumstances of cultural background. That from that crowd of noise and voice and judgment, I have to pluck myself out in private. And then Jesus says to him one thing, be opened. And then you ask, be open for what? Be open to hear what is the truth. Not the truth others tell you, but the truth God tells us about ourselves. And took me 5 years into priesthood to hear that. There are two truths that I have to place myself in private. That I am unconditionally loved by God. And I'm like, that's what I preach to everyone. But I had to know that to myself. In that private, away from all the noises, tells me that I have to do something to look good and happy and accepted. I am hearing a message that I am unconditionally loved by God. That's the first step. Second step, irrespective of every tag that I have, that others give me, I give myself, I am a precious child of God. From that place, I begin to listen to myself. And I would say now, After 70 years of going through spiritual direction and therapy, I think I am better at listening to myself. Every now and then I go through things, I say, oh, that's my dad speaking, shut up. That's my mom's tendency, just go away, mom. I look to the gospel every time I go into prayer. And this is how I stand my prayer. Whether I pray here or whether I pray walking through the river, whether I pray in my presbytery, every time I pray, I begin like this, very consciously. Lord, I place myself right now for prayer, and I believe your love surrounds me. That's how I begin. If I begin any other way, oh, what's that? Carol's not in the church. Claire is not in the church. It's all falling apart. I don't know what to do. That's a stupid prayer. But my prayer should begin, Lord, I place myself in the unconditional love that is present here with me. And I am your child. See, when we begin like that, it changes everything. There is no judgment. There is no voice. There is no mask. There is no attention I seek. Because I am in a place of, I call holding. The holding of compassion. And there, I listen to myself. Then when I listen, I'm able to speak clearly. And that's what in the Bible we say. The miracle is not that he went out and started to talk. But the miracle is in one word it says, he spoke clearly. At times in our lives, workplace, as a priest, as a teacher, principal, we are able to say yes and no. We mumble. We shoot around the bush because we are unable to listen to us, what is happening inside of us. Once we listen in our body, in our mind, and we can listen clearly and sort of dissect the truth, then we articulate very clearly also. So may our ears, our tongue be loosened by the truth of God's love, His unconditional love, and our preciousness as His children. Amen.